So today we're going to do a reaction video on Nomad Capitalist. If you don't know what Nomad Capitalist is, they are a relocation company. They help people who are looking to seek other places to live. Not only do they help with relocation, they help in terms of how to expand your finances to go where you're treated best in regards to becoming an expat, to where you can live in other areas or different countries and invest into those countries and spend a certain amount of moolah, whether you buy a home or invest into charities or pay tithes into the community, to where you can get access to citizenship and passports. So Nomad Capitalist, they've been around for quite some time. I've been following them for a while now and have been deeply considering whether I should leave the country or not, or just go travel. I've been to quite a few places, Poland, Germany, Mexico, but I haven't really been out there, you know what I'm saying? I've been to Finland and a few other areas, but I haven't been out there, you feel me? However, Nomad Capitalist, they will teach you and show you and guide you if you sign up with their services. But I do highly recommend that you subscribe to their channel. So let's go ahead and dive in.
There are more millionaires than ever leaving the United States, enacting their own Plan A and going and living in other more free and tax-friendly countries. But the millionaires who aren't leaving also want a Plan B. And today I'm going to tell you what that is and how you can build one for yourself. An article in Fortune magazine which says rich Americans prefer Harris over Trump, but they want a second passport no matter who wins. Now you might say, hey, a lot of wealthy people would like Donald Trump to win. That just shows to me how divided the United States is. You have certain wealthy people like the Mark Cubans of the world who want Harris to win, who think she's the answer. Obviously, she wants to raise your taxes. She wants unrealized capital gains tax. Who knows how far it goes? Elizabeth Warren talked about a wealth tax. But one thing we do see here at Nomad Capitalist is our clients have become more and more diverse over the years. Not everybody cares as much about lowering their taxes. Hey, if they're moving overseas, they might as well get some tax savings. But we have fewer clients looking to pay zero tax. They will push back if they think Kamala Harris or Donald Trump or anyone is wasting their tax dollars. But they're increasingly feeling like the U.S. and other legacy brand Western countries are holding them back. They're choking them. They're holding back their freedom. And I think that's why you're seeing more Americans, according to Fortune magazine and many others, want a second passport. Now, the article talks about how affluent Americans are more likely to support Kamala Harris. Again, that seems perhaps a regional thing. But they are looking for a backup plan to escape the political environment in the U.S. through what the media calls golden passport and citizenship by investment programs. Now, why would an American want a second passport? Why would someone who's wealthy in a country, people say, oh, it's the best country to be a millionaire. Ironically, it's only people in that country who say it's the best country to be a millionaire. But you would want a second passport because no matter who wins, increasing tensions, trade war, tariffs, whatever you want to call it, with China, and probably with more countries to come. What does that mean for your business, especially if you do business internationally, as I do? It means that having a U.S. passport could be a sort of scarlet letter. We've seen that with the cryptocurrency community. We've had investors as our clients over the years. I can't open a certain account. I can't invest in a certain project as an American. There are folks who can't invest in certain mutual funds or make certain foreign investments as an American. So you already have had, we've talked about this for years, more and more reasons why if you're a wealthy entrepreneur or wealthy investor, you have been at a disadvantage, you will be at a disadvantage. Forget the fact that things like FATCA made it more difficult, although not impossible, to open a foreign bank account. There's plenty of
That's just crazy to me. Like, they come out with all these laws and regulations where they just kind of bottleneck everything to where there's a lot of different types of laws that can help you in terms of finance, and there's a lot of different laws that won't help you or are kind of set up against you in a way to where you can't expand faster, if you will, right? So you can get out of the matrix if you're trying to get out of the matrix. That being said, this guy knows exactly what he's talking about, so let's listen to him some more.
Banks now that don't want Americans. And I think what more wealthy people are seeing is, wow, the country is kind of starting to fall apart. One thing that I have been told by folks is, I never thought I'd call Nomad Capitalist 5 years ago. I never thought I'd go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply and ask to become a client because, hey, I thought 5 years ago, yeah, I pay too much in taxes, but things overall are good here. what we hear anecdotally, but everyone I talk to says the same thing. Articles like this one in Fortune say the same thing. Wealthy folks are saying the cracks are starting to show. And so when they went and did a survey of people who had between 1 and 5 million and 5 million plus, Americans said no matter who they vote for, they have deep anxieties about the country's economic outlook. More than 50% said theoretically they could leave the United States after November's election. Now, obviously, you can ask people, you can put that question any way you want. Most people aren't leaving, kind of like, hey, if so-and-so wins, I'm moving to Canada. Most people don't move to Canada. But the article says they're seeking to secure passports in countries like Canada. Not so sure about that one so much. Australia, I think that one's jumped the shark too. New Zealand wasn't always the most friendly towards Americans. These are the ones they want you to think you want. The UK, okay, this is totally out. Ireland, there are some folks interested in Ireland. It's close enough, time zone's close enough. You can get citizenship there after 5 years. Language is the same. All right, there's some people who want that. Spain, that is a popular one. And Portugal, no more tax deal there. Still the golden visa, but that jumped the shark. I think what you're seeing here is a magazine like Fortune goes out and talks to wealthy people and says, hey, would you leave the country? Oh yeah, we're scared about the direction the country is going. Where would you go? And it's like I told a story at Nomad Capitalist Live about when I was 16 years old, I was in love with the Petronas Towers in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, where our event is and where I now have a home all these years later. But I always felt, even though I couldn't stop talking in speech class about how beautiful the Petronas Towers were, I always felt like that was a bridge too far. And so when I was 15 or 16 and I decided I wanted to move overseas, I thought, I'm going to move to London. Because that just seemed like a reasonable place, for a white guy from Ohio to go. I'll go to London. Okay. Never really thought about, can I get in there? I mean, the UK doesn't really have. We had Nigel Farage talking this year. I asked him, why don't you guys have a policy for entrepreneurs and investors like the kind our clients had? They got rid of the investor visa right before the Russia-Ukraine war broke out. They don't have anything for wealthy people to move there. Canada has been squirrely, Australia and New Zealand have been squirrely about those.
When it comes to the housing market, if Kamala wins, she's already got a law and policy in place that will tax you on unrealized gains in the housing market. And I think it's 20%, 25%, some crazy number. But how are you going to be taxed on profits or revenue that you haven't even made yet? Unrealized gains, right? Like, what the hell? How are you supposed to afford, to pay yourself, and let alone the people that you work with or hire in terms of your investment company or your business in the housing market? This system within the matrix to where you can't escape, where you can't go anywhere, and they're like, oh, it's okay, we'll take care of you. Here, have this, have that. It's like, what? Or they're just really forcing people out, and hopefully we can get out, because we still need planes to fly, and it's not looking too good with Boeing. Let's dive back into Nomad Capitalist. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, guys. I created this channel so I can provide the very best quality content that I can on YouTube for you guys to watch. Let's get back to it.
I think people think these are the kinds of places they're supposed to go, and that the reality is, what our clients, once they get educated, are saying is, let me have 1 foot in the West and 1 foot in the East. So if I'm coming from the United States and I'm worried about what's happening and I'm seeing the cracks emerge, I want to be able to pivot to a Western country that's more responsive, has more love for its citizens, has fewer beefs with other countries around the world that are going to blow back on me. They're going to make my passport look, like a scarlet letter. I want one in the West. And then I want one in the East. We've had more folks interested in Turkey citizenship by investment than we have in the past. So do people ask about Australia and New Zealand? Sure. And then they get told about how long it takes and how much money you have to put in and how difficult it can be. And they say, okay, tell me what else I can do. One thing that we've had tremendous success with in the last year is Malta citizenship, which now it seems is going to be a program that sticks around. It's going to cost you about $1 million with fees to get citizenship in a country that isn't big enough to have a beef with anybody. They're not big enough to go around telling people what to do or even, bossing their own citizens around. They have to be responsive to their own citizens in Malta. It's a small place. And so you can go and you can spend about $1 million with fees. You and your family can get citizenship. It'll take you about 18 months, which is a lot faster than moving there. You don't have to move there other than, You've got to be there for a little bit of time during the process, but not a long time. And yeah, $1 million is a lot of money. But if you're someone who's in that $5 million plus category, or $10 million or $20 million plus category, that's a one-time fee to get a passport as good as your American one. Plus, you can live anywhere you want.
It's a really good passport to have, to be honest with you.
You can go to school. Plus, your grandkids can't, and their kids, and their kids, and their kids. You're buying a legacy for your family. And you can do that in the Caribbean through citizenship by investment at a fraction of the cost. Obviously, you get fewer benefits, but it's still good to have a backup plan. Either way, I don't see Malta or St. Lucia, which is one of the citizenships I hold, or Dominica. I don't see those on the list. Why? Because wealthy people, they think the way I did. When I was 15 years old, I'll go to the UK. The UK doesn't want you, and they just canceled their non-dom tax program. Ireland can work, Spain can work, Portugal can work, although the taxes aren't going to work out well. To me, if you're going to move and you're wealthy, you might as well save taxes. I mean, there's nothing wrong with paying some taxes if you're open-minded to that. You don't have to go to a zero-tax jurisdiction. But if you're paying 45% plus, if you're going to go through the hassle of moving, get paid for it. Get a couple of $100,000 in your pocket every year. And as they say, every extra couple of $100,000 goes a long way. So what I see from this is people feel like the country's changed. They feel the economy's going in the right direction. I think people are seeing and feeling what I've been talking about for years. The countries where I live, the Malaysias, for example, they're doing pretty well. They're going in the right direction. People there are optimistic. And as some of the folks in the Trump administration said, a middle class is emerging in Asia, has emerged in Asia, and is emerging in other parts of the world. And what they didn't say exactly, but they meant, I think, is, and that hurt our ability to be competitive, because we don't want to be competitive in legacy brand countries like the US. We just think, hey, if we can't run the show, we're going to take our ball and go home. Look at what's happening in the UK. They made all the tax policies that have been around for centuries that made it friendly for foreigners to come in. They're getting rid of it all. And now that everyone realizes the jig is up, they're like, well, we're not just going to let people leave. We're going to impose new taxes when you leave. So rather than trying to be competitive, the UK is like, we're going to not be competitive. And then to make sure you don't escape our uncompetitive grasp, we're going to be even more uncompetitive. And I think that whether you can put your finger on that exactly, whether you watch Nomad Capitalist and you've heard me say that for all those years, or whether you just kind of come into the feeling that my dad and I talked about as far back in the 90s, one day these Western countries are going to be so broke, they're going to have to be so nasty, and people are going to want to leave, but they're not going to know exactly where to go.
Thanks for tuning in to Nova Society. I'm going to tap out.